They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage. And most importantly, full-time ghosting isn't an option. It's the only choice. Full-time ghost. Now, I've been telling people, and in fact, let me go back a little. Yeah, the reason I haven't been releasing as much videos, of course I had my drama with YouTube, that's always happening, but I just haven't been freestyling it more, where it's just, it don't matter where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? I should just record something quick. And another thing is, man, feel free, I don't get it, man, it's like some people are afraid, man. It's like some people are afraid, man. Feel free to leave on the comment section a request, man, Yeah, feel free to leave a request on the comment section. If you're on the Discord, we got a whole section for a video request. You know what I'm saying? It's like people are afraid, man. People are afraid to give me a request, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't promise you I won't hurt your feelings, You know me. I'm just gonna tell it like it is without holding back or attachments. No attachments. Just telling it like it is, mathematical, But this video is inspired by my book. Please, when you get a chance, get your hands on MANVANTAGE. Get your hands on MANVANTAGE. It's on Amazon. I plan to put it in other places. It's even on my own website. I'll start linking that as well. But this video is inspired by MANVANTAGE. Yeah, this video is inspired by MANVANTAGE, the book I got out, and this video is inspired by MANVANTAGE, and this video is called BOYVANTAGE. You know what I'm saying? BOYVANTAGE. I think I was saying this on a stream before, but I think a major issue a lot of the boys getting information from men in the manosphere, or men in general, is that men are speaking. I think the major issue a lot of men have when they're speaking to the boys or young men, as in men below the age of 18 and men below the age of 18 will be boys. Then you have the young men that are, I think, below 21. So I think the major issue a lot of these boys and young men have, in fact, I need to just say boys, because this is the BOYVANTAGE, whatever. Yeah, I think the major issue boys have when listening to men online is that a lot of men are speaking to the boys and giving them information from a final stage perspective, a final form perspective. And what do I mean by final form? Well, I mean, as a man, by the time you reach, I think the age is 21 to about 23, you're no longer growing. You know what I'm saying? You're no longer growing. Your body is no longer changing. So you're on your final form, And I think a lot of the boys that watch these channels or take advice from men don't relate as much, or are set up to, in fact, reach a point of problematic issues, because a lot of the men are speaking to the boys from a perspective of the final form, as in, this is your final form, here's what you're gonna do, here's dating advice, here's this, here's that, but it's all from a perspective of reaching your final form rather than still at your base form, as in you're still growing, you're still changing. And I think this does a lot of damage to a lot of boys' psyches that happen to look at these male content. You know, you got young boys in, high school watching your Andrew Tates, and we all know what Andrew Tate is, straight up closet, you know what I'm saying, in a closet like insanity, you know. Then you got a lot of the red pill content a lot of these young boys are consuming, that's setting them up to face life from a very final perspective rather than you're still growing. You know what I'm saying? You're still changing. You're still evolving. You know, you're still maturing. So a lot of the conversation doesn't affect you. And I think a lot of boys growing up right now, it's not like growing up in the 90s or 80s or 70s where I think, you could correct me if I'm wrong, where the mantra was, boys will be boys. You know what I'm saying? This is what boys do. You know, they're going to get dirty. They're going to get into fights. They're gonna potentially bully someone. You know, it's just a natural phase of what it means to be a boy, you know. But now in this society, I think it started around the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of this started around the 2000s and really started establishing itself in the 2010s. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's the narrative that started pushing. And I think it was in the 2000s where you would hear a lot more about men having to have feelings and share their emotions, basically creating, the narrative that was being pushed was men have to create more weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? They have to create more weaknesses, and that weakness is exposing their emotional, you know what I'm saying, exposing their feelings. And that was a huge narrative, I think, in the 2000s. Because in the 90s, a lot of it was about we need to get along, you know what I'm saying, black, white. You would see a lot of racial different characters. I mean, look at the Power Rangers, Asian, white, they didn't mention it. The 90s was all about covert diversity, you know what I'm saying? You just see a white boy and a black boy, a white girl, an Asian girl, they just chilling. No racial aspects about it, even though that's an extremely rare situation where you would have such diversity in one location, you know what I'm saying? But in the 90s, it was all about, it just so happened that this Asian boy, black boy, Mexican boy, you know what I'm saying, Latino girl, white girl, they just happen to all go in the same school. And I think from a perspective, the 90s wasn't about what you have in the 2010s where it was about forcing this narrative of diversity. The 90s was more of a, man, you watch it on TV, you're like, like watching, I don't know if you remember the show Recess, the cartoon Recess, Magic School Bus. You would watch it and be like, man, you see a white kid, a black kid, an Asian kid, you see them all together, you'd be like, wow, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You'd look at it from a perspective of, man, I wish I could experience that growing up when I was a kid, to have as many variety of friends as possible. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was in the 90s. You would look at diversity and be, oh, that would be cool. You wouldn't be against it. You'd just be, oh, that was cool, man. See the Magic School Bus with all those different type of kids together. And then you look at your neighborhood, y'all try to chill with as many different kids like you as possible. You know what I'm saying? And, that was a different time. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of kids in the 90s, they would just show it to you. And you look at it from a perspective of, you look to encounter more different people. You know what I'm saying? and you look to just, play video games with them, play sports and so on. That was the 90s. Then the 2000s came, and the 2000s, the 2010s is when the destruction of the male came in. And a lot of boys growing up, and this is where I think a lot of male channels of adult men fail the younger generation watching them, is that they speak from a final perspective. And what I mean by that is that they ignore the fact that these boys are still growing up. They're still growing. And when you look at a lot of channels, you realize that a lot of young boys, I think boys from the age of, let's just say 13 to 17, then you got, young adults. So maybe, man, that's the wrong word. I guess it's all, because, the U.S. is kind of weird, man. What's weird about the U.S. is that you really don't become an adult. Yes, you can go to jail as an adult and be treated as an adult at 18, but you're not really an adult until you can drink, so 21. So I'll just say, I'll basically, say anyone under the age of 21, the content is very hard to get to it, to understand it. This is why you see a lot of people under the age of 21, when they consume the manosphere content or male-driven content, they end up at the extreme. They either take it too serious and go on a extreme route, or they just can't comprehend it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that a lot, And the reason this is happening is that, as I state, and I'm apologizing if I keep saying the same thing over slightly, but it's because a lot of the male content is speaking from a finality. A lot of the adult men don't understand that the people under the age of 21 right now are growing up at a point where it's all about destroying their future in the present. Let me repeat that. Destroying their future in the present. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say presently someone is about, let's say they're 17. Presently this boy is 17 years old, and let's say he's going to ask a girl out in his high school. He's asking her out, and she turns him down and says, let's just say she says he's he's a freak, a creep, whatever. You know what I'm saying? She's not interested in him, whatever. Now, the narrative that's pushed against this boy that's 17 is that it's because of who he is, and it's because of who he will always be. That's a major narrative that's pushed against the younger boys, is that it's who they will always be, when in reality, fuck reality, my bad for using that word, we all know how fictitious that is, but when in truth, that boy at 17 is not yet fully grown and not yet completely within his final form of who he is. I mean, he hasn't fully grown. He hasn't fully grown and seen, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't yet seen his final form. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't yet seen his final form. And what's pushed against this boy growing up is that everything he's experiencing is the final stage, the final form of who he is, So, for example, a girl turning him down at 17, he should reflect on it the way society pushes it on him. He should reflect on it as though this is his entire life. This is what will always happen to him, because he has some issues that he has that he looks a certain way forever. When in truth, man, he's not yet fully grown. He's not yet fully grown. He hasn't reached his final form. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using final form because, man, we all watch the cartoons, the Dragon Ball Z's and all that stuff. We all know about the base form, and so on. I'm just keeping it a lot, you know what I mean, a lot fresher, you know what I'm saying, the convo. But basically, a boy at 17 is being judged as though this is his final form. And then society pushes that on him, that whatever he's going through, this is what he will always go through, because this is his final form. When in truth, man, it's not. It's not, man. You know what I'm saying? You're still growing. You've yet to see who you truly are. You know what I'm saying? You've yet to see who you truly are. You won't see who you truly are until, I think, about 22 to 23, because I think you stop growing around 22 to 23 is when you stop growing. You know, and a lot of people think, well, you know, a lot of people associate growth with verticality. You know what I'm saying? You start getting taller. No, your feet might stop growing when you're about 22 to 23. You might stop growing horizontally at 22 to 23. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of boys, when they go to school, man, and when they're judged thinking this is their final form. You know what I'm saying? Thinking this is who they truly are and will always be. You know what I'm saying? When this isn't even actually their final form. You know what I'm saying? You haven't truly become who you are yet. You know, and as I was saying, it's around the age of 22 to about 23. And even the women, well, you know, for example, let me rephrase that. Let's say that boy is 17 and the girl he's talking to is about his age. So 17. You know what I'm saying? And if she says she doesn't like you, yes. But what she's saying has to do with presently who you are. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't like you presently who you are. That's why the narrative in the manosphere, is in the male space, where they say, well, she didn't like me in high school, you know what I'm saying? And then I met her when I'm like 25 or 24. All of a sudden things have changed, you know? Well, dude, you're not the same person you are at 23 when you were 17. You're in your final form around that age. So when she's talking to you when you're 23 isn't the same as talking to you when you were 17, still growing, haven't reached your final form as an adult. You know what I'm saying? You haven't reached your final form as an adult. So if you see a woman that you spoke to in high school, and then she talks to you when you're about 23, you know what I'm saying? You're both around the same age, and she's talking to you differently, man. You're not the same person. You know, we got to look at it as it's kind of like the older you get to becoming an adult. So let's say about 23 years old, you're changing your shell. You know, you're removing your shell from who you were. The shell you were in at age 17 isn't the same shell you're in at age 23. It's your final form, your adult form. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the boys going to school are taking things too hard. They're taking things too hard as though it's a finality. You know what I'm saying? As though they're being judged forever. You know what I'm saying? They're being judged for whoever they will be forever versus, you're just being judged for what you are right then and there. Right then and there, and you haven't yet reached and matured to your adult stage, your adult form, your final form where you're no longer growing. You've reached who you truly are and will forever be until you get, a lot older. You know what I'm saying? Your middle age and so on. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of the boys going to school, they've been trained, especially in the 2010s. 2010s was all about telling a lot of boys that they have to be against who they are naturally. You know what I'm saying? what they naturally pursue in life as they're growing and maturing as a boy would. You know what I'm saying? Their testosterone, their balls have dropped in the pursuit of manhood and what they're interested in, And a lot of the boys going to school look at their lives and how they're being judged in high school, middle school, whatever the grade is. They look at it from a perspective of, oh man, I'm being judged for like who I will be forever. No, man, you're not. You're still growing, you're still maturing, and you have not yet reached your final form. You know what I'm saying? The final form is that of an adult male, which is about 23. In the society you're in, especially in the 2010s to 2020s, is all about having a boy sacrifice his future as an adult male upon how he's being trained and the propaganda and agenda being sold to him as he's growing up. You know what I'm saying? As he's growing up, And a lot of, we could see this in the black pill sector, where a lot of young men still growing up, still maturing, haven't yet reached their true form when they encounter some doomers, and as I've coined the phrase, the ender cells, a lot of people that are all about pushing the negatives, the people that aren't truly following what the black pill is truly about, or anything of that state. That's why I don't usually bring it up as much. But a lot of the boys growing up will get this message where they're being told at 17 that they got to get bone lengthening surgery. They got to get their face re-chiseled and modified when they're 17 years old. You've yet to fully grow. You have not yet seen your final form. You know what I'm saying? You're 17 years old. You're 18 years old. You're 19 years old. You're 20 years old. You haven't seen your final form yet. You know what I'm saying? You haven't reached that level yet, And you got these people pressuring this guy to get surgery, bone lengthening, plastic surgery to alter your face. And then they're even telling you to get on testosterone. And think about it, this is a very dark aspect. This is a very dark aspect of the male space. Is you'll see this message to tell a lot of young boys to get on testosterone. You know what I'm saying? Get on testosterone to boost their testosterone. Get on all these pills and medicine when you've not yet fully grown. You've not yet fully grown and reached your final form to where you can actually tell whether you need to do more exercises, whether your testosterone is low. You have not yet reached that final form. One thing I realized a while ago, and I started telling myself this, is that you got to look at your body as you age as basically you're getting a new vehicle. You're getting a maybe, man, I might have been, give me a minute. Yeah, basically you got to look at your body like this, The metaphor I thought of was that the older you get, it's like you get a new shell, and that new shell is basically a new body. You know what I'm saying? Your body at 25 isn't the same body at 21. You know what I'm saying? And you have to adjust to that body and maneuver and be aware of its limitations, what can and can't be done at that age. You know what I'm saying? When your body reaches a different stage. That's why I look at these testosterone ads where they tell you, well, you need to get on these testosterone. My testosterone feels like I'm when I was 25 at 35, And you're like, dude, your body isn't the same. You know, your bone density isn't the same. Your very organs aren't the same. So how can you put, for example, this is why I say it's like a car. How can you put, let's say around let's say 20, let's say about 18 to 25. Let's say you're like a convertible. You're like a convertible. Let's say you're a convertible. You know what I'm saying? You're at peak speed and all that stuff, right? And let's say about 26 to 30, you're becoming a sedan. You know what I'm saying? You're not moving as fast as you used to. So you need a different level of fuel. You need different forget the word, different tune-ups. You know what I'm saying? You need different tune-ups and different approaches to how to handle that, since your body has changed. You know what I'm saying? Since your body has changed, you can't put the same fuel into it. You can't have the testosterone of a 20-year-old in the body of a 40-year-old. You know what I'm saying? The body isn't adjusted to that. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same body. Then think about the narrative where it's a one size fits all. Where, oh man, here's this medicine for testosterone that's for everybody age 20 and so on, age 40. It'll give you the testosterone of when you were 30, but your body, none of our bodies are all the same. You know what I'm saying? So you might be putting, because for example, I myself, you know what I'm saying, I'm like 6'7", you know what I'm saying? I've gained too much weight. I'm 6'7", 300 pounds right now. I gotta drop back to 240, 250. You know what I'm saying? I gotta lose 50 pounds, you know. But my build, the way my body works is that if I get in the gym, man, and I mean, if I get in the gym, I don't even need to go crazy. My body starts automatically getting back in shape. My body works with the old saying, a body in motion stays in motion. Well, that's how my body moves. You know what I'm saying? If I get in motion, start going to the gym, do what I need to do, my body will start adjusting ASAP, you know? But that's my body. That might not be somebody else's body type, you know? Even when they tell you we're all the same body type, I think it's called exomorph, phenomorph, whatever the hell that is. You know what I'm saying? Our organs are different. You know what I'm saying? We're not all super similar. And the biggest scam of stuff they're selling is this one size fits all BS. You know what I'm saying? That we all can take the same amount of medicine and we'll all get the same results. You know, that's a huge major scam. You know what I mean? That's a huge scam, man. That this one size fits all medicine, one size fits all, you know? It's a huge major issue we have. You know what I mean? So what they sell, man, they sell a one size fits all. It could be one size fits all clothing. It could be one size fits all medicine and minerals. Dude, your body's different. Your ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? Some of us don't even know that your great ancestors might have had cannibalism in it. You might have had cannibalism in you. You know what I'm saying? Or one of your great ancestors might have been always a scout. So your ancestor might have been always running away, always the one being used as a scout. So you have a lot more energy than the average person because your ancestor wasn't the strongest, wasn't the toughest, and always was the scout. So you have a lot more energy than the average person. You know what I'm saying? Have a lot more energy than the average person. So to me, you gotta understand, man, that one size fits all is a scam. You know what I'm saying? It's a major scam. But to get back to things, because you know this is gonna be a long video. To get back to things, like I was saying, man, one size fits all. But the thing is, a lot of boys, you know, are being told a lot of final final form answers that don't fit their life. You know what I'm saying? That's why I call this video the boy advantage. Boys got to understand you're still growing. Everything that you're told while you're in school, for example, whether that be your voice, whether that be how you look, you know what I'm saying? Until you're the age of 23, let's just say 23, it's all a lie. It's not final. You know what I'm saying? It's not final. Because if someone's telling you, oh man, you're ugly as hell, you know what I'm saying? Okay, well, you know, I'm like, let's say you're 16, so right now you're ugly as hell, you know what I'm saying? But who you might be at the end might be something completely different, you know what I'm saying? You don't yet know your final form. You have not yet reached your final form as an adult until you're 23. So a lot of things, when they're judging you about your appearance, how you sound, how you move, how you walk, you know what I'm saying? That's just not the final stage. That's not, how can that be truthful and honest when, dude, how you walk, I'll give you an example. How I walk right now in my 30s ain't the same as how I walked when I was 18 or 21 or something. Even how I carry myself, how I think, my gestures, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? But most importantly, all those things before I was 23 were not the final stage, the final form of who I am. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about, if someone was, you know, I became in Jersey where I'm at, they call it hiking. You know what I'm saying? We used to hike on each other, which you call roasting, man. We used to roast the hell out of each other. You know, I was a roast king, man. I'll be like a demon in the back of the bus, the high school bus, man. I was like a demon in the back, you know. I'll be roasting people all the way from the back of the bus. You could hear me. You could hear me laughing, roasting people all the way in the front. You know what I'm saying? Roasting the bus aid. Just cooking people, man. Seasoning them. You know what I mean? Roasting them to the grave. And you would have to have some balls, man. You would have to be a very brave man, you know what I'm saying, to come to the back of the bus where I'm at, just roasting the hell out of people. We're just joking, cooking people alive, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's what I did. But even then, me roasting somebody, for example, when I was in high school, roasting somebody at 17, that ain't the same as me roasting them when they're like 23 years old. You know what I'm saying? They haven't reached their final appearance. So a lot of what's happened to you when you were in high school, damn, I'm trying to remember the word. You know what I'm saying? It's dated. Basically, it's dated. You know what I'm saying? Someone joking at you when you were 17, it doesn't count when you're like 23. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the same. They're not joking at the same person, because at 17, you were wondering about who you would be at the age of 23. You know what I'm saying? You would be wondering. You know what I'm saying? When we were in high school, we were still wondering, who would we be? How will we look? How will we sound? You know what I'm saying? When we become adults of the age 23 and so on, you know, there was that wonder of, what will I become? You know what I'm saying? Then when you reach the age of 23, there are no more wondering. You've reached your final form. You know what I'm saying? You've reached your final form, and whatever people say about you, then it matters. You know what I'm saying? Then it matters. Then they're talking about who you are and who you will be. You know what I'm saying? So that's where things change. You know what I'm saying? So if I was roasting someone at 23, then I'm really getting at them. You know what I'm saying? I'm really roasting them to the grave. You know what I'm saying? Because me, man, you know, roasting in high school and stuff, roasting for me was, there were no rules, man. You know what I'm saying? I was a jokester somewhat in middle school, you know what I mean? 8th grade, 7th grade, you know, I was having my fun here and there, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? I didn't become the cerebral, you know what I'm saying, comedic monster I became in high school. You know what I'm saying? High school was when things got elevated. You know what I'm saying? Where I think what happens in high school is that, you know what I'm saying, you know this is the final moment of school. You know what I'm saying? After this, there's no more you're being forced to go to school. So I think a lot of people alter and change. Your personality will change because you're in high school. You know this is the last 4 years of school you can't unvolunteer to go to. You know what I mean? This is the last time, so you change. So, you know what I mean? I altered myself and, things changed. When I reached high school, a lot of things were different. People looked different. You know what I'm saying? Everything adjusted and altered. Your testosterone, a lot of things are different. And like I said, this is the final countdown. You know what I'm saying? If you get bullied or punked in high school, you know what I mean, you don't get a chance to make up for that. You know what I'm saying? In that school setting. If you got bullied in 8th grade, you're like, you know what? In high school, that ain't gonna be the same. Me getting bullied in middle school, it ain't gonna happen in high school. You know what I mean? But once you get to high school, you're like, yo, this is the final show. You know what I mean? This is the final show, man. And that's when, aspects of who you truly will be crawl out. You know what I'm saying? And that for me became, also I'm a tall guy, whatever, but that became for me where I was more extroverted. You know what I'm saying? Became a lot more extroverted, wasn't scared or worried about new people. You know what I mean? It became, new person's a new person, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I would fit into whatever crowd I needed to be to, go to. If they're talking about basketball, I could sit in that table. Football, Yu-Gi-Oh, we I could go wherever I want to go. You know what I'm saying? So, but a lot of the boys growing up need to understand that you're not at your final form, man. Everything you hear is dated. You know what I'm saying? It's dated, and it doesn't feel that way because you're living that present moment. You know what I'm saying? You're 16 and people are telling you things. You know what I'm saying? You're taking it as someone 16. You know what I mean? But as you grow up, now you're 17. And what happened to you at 16 doesn't matter at 17. You know what I mean? You're still growing. You're a whole different person at 17 versus when you were 16. Because you're growing and you're heading further towards that final form. You know what I'm saying? A final form of who you are. You're heading there. So a lot of things are dated. It's kind of like when someone jokes about a president, then that joke might get old or dated when the next president comes, and that's what happens as you're growing up. You know what I'm saying? You're growing up and you've yet to reach your final form, which is age 23. You stop growing. You can finally see who you truly are. There's no going back. There's no, yo, who will I be? No, man, you're in your final form as an adult. You know what I mean? That's why I think a lot of the information being fed to people around the age of, so, like I was saying, man, you've not yet reached your final form, man. As I was saying, man, you've not yet reached your final form. And one of the biggest, most dangerous things that happens with this when people don't understand this and ignore it is that now you basically overshadow your adulthood with your teenhood. You know what I'm saying? Your minor, your points where you were still growing. And that's one of the major aspects of psychological trauma a lot of boys are going through, is that they're carrying all these issues from the past that have no value in the present. Not at all. Think about it. How you sound, you know what I'm saying? How you sound at age 23 isn't how you sound at age 17, 16. How you look, everything is absolutely different. You know, some people bring up, well, you know, hold the truth hostage, man. I look the same when I was 23 as when I was 17. No, you don't. You see, you have to be aware of the fact that at 17, you were wondering how you would look by the time you were 23. Even if you look similar to the same as when you were 17, you're not 17. You know what I'm saying? You're not 17, man. You just look like you when you were 17, but you're not 17. You know what I mean? And the thing with that is, I remember I watch all these infomercials where you got guys at 35 saying, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in better shape than I was at 21. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's a lie. The lie about that is that you never got into such great shape when you were 21. And if you got into great shape at 21, like you are at 35, you'd be in a lot better shape than when you are 35. You know what I'm saying? A person in shape at 35 isn't a person in shape at 21, 17, and so on. It ain't the same. It's a whole different age, and it's a whole different perspective. You know what I mean? It's a whole different perspective in life where you're at, you know? And I think the major damage, and I've seen it, I've spoken to, you know, running this channel for, you know, making manosphere or male-related content, male-focused content since it had to be 2018. You know what I'm saying? Since 2018 or 2019, I gotta look at my own channel. I don't 100% remember, but that's basically over 6 years I've been making content. I've spoken to hundreds of men from different parts of life, different perspectives of life. You know, some of the homies were literally in India. Some of the homies I spoke to, South America, Middle East, Asia. I've spoken to men from all walks of life, man. You know what I'm saying? We've learned from each other. They've opened perspectives of things I didn't see or I didn't understand and all that. Hundreds we've all talked, you know what I'm saying? And utilize this internet for what it is, you know, what it's worth, which is conversation and information without physically having to be there. The internet has allowed us men, us males, to trade information that, you know, would never be possible without it. You know what I'm saying? Without the internet, you know, learning at a rate that is, you know, passing thousands of years in literally minutes or seconds. You know, it's as easy as I send somebody a DM, a message, you know what I'm saying? All the way in India, I send somebody a message. I'm like, yo, man, what's up with India, man? What's going on? Growing up as a man up there. And bing, bing, they reply to me, and I'm like, whoa, wow. That's a whole different culture right there. That's a whole different perspective, and I understand. You know, I'm learning. Or, you know what I'm saying? Then they ask me something, and bang, bang, bang. I message them in seconds. And we just literally traded information about our lives, you know, easily, you know. And I think the damage that's being done to a lot of the young boys growing up is that all the information they're being fed, from red pill content to, you know, like I said, the lesser pillars, you know, anybody that isn't, you know what I'm saying, all the manosphere, and in all honesty, anybody that ain't a full-time ghost, you get information from men that are still attached to this, you know, to society's agenda. You know what I mean? They're giving you wrong information. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen it, and speaking to hundreds, probably even thousands of men online. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it where they take their childhood, they take their pre-adult life. Yeah, that's actually a better term, pre-adult. You know what I'm saying? Pre-adult life with them. You know what I'm saying? I've spoken to some people that say, yo, man, I was treated this way in high school. I was treated that way in middle school. I was treated this way. What does that have to do with you as an adult? You know, what does any of that have to do with you as an adult? You know what I'm saying? How does any of this count? You know what I'm saying? If people are calling me ugly in 8th grade or telling me I'm stupid in 8th grade, you know what I'm saying? How does this associate with who I am now? You know what I'm saying? How does any of this affect me when in 8th grade I was still growing? I was still maturing. I was yet an adult. That's a whole different form of me that I can't even relate to right now. You know what I'm saying? That form of me was wondering and asking what he will do when he's an adult, what he will do when he could stay up past 9 p.m., when he could go outside. You know what I'm saying? That was not an adult. That was a whole different life that was not yet my final form, you know. And I've seen a lot of guys, I've been there too myself. You know, I took a lot of, things I didn't do. There was a lot of regret from what I didn't do when I was in high school, or even all the way back to like 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? There was some stuff I regretted, but now with that full-time ghosting knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Being aware that had I attached myself to certain things when I was in that grade level, I would not be here today. I would not be here the way I am now. There wouldn't even be an opportunity to become Hold the Truth hostage, because I would have been consumed by the agenda and also the sins of my father. I'll be consumed by the sins of my father. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of boys growing up, for example, let's say you grow up without a father. You know, a lot of people will tell you, well, he grew up without a father. There's no influence there. You know what I'm saying? There's no influence from his father. That's a lie. You know what I'm saying? That's a major lie in itself. And the lie is that your father starts to become a crutch. You know what I'm saying? Since, for example, I'll give you an example. In the male space, a lot of men speak about, well, the women that didn't grow up with a father. You know, they didn't grow up with a father. They're not wife material. You know, a lot of the men in this space, because I've been telling guys, man, the most entitled people online are men. It's the most entitled. So a lot of men online will say, well, if she grew up without a father, you know what I'm saying, she's not wife material. She's gonna suffer from this and that. And that's, a lot of that is true to a certain extent. A lot of that is true. I need to make a video about that. You know what I'm saying? Single, single mother woman, whatever. I've touched up on that, but I need to go further. I got a new level of knowledge. But a lot of men online will say, she grew up without a father. She's not wife material. She could never be wife material. Yet these same men didn't grow up without a father. They will suffer from the difference, the inability. The difference between, I think, is, and I might be misinterpreting this, but I think a lot of men will basically use their father as a crutch. And the crutch I mean is that, well, my father walked away from me. Look how I turned out. So why can't I walk away from my own children? You know what I'm saying? Look at me. I got a job. I'm normal. You know what I'm saying? Give me a minute. I'm trying to. Damn, man. This computer mouse is acting crazy. I might need a new mouse, man. Might need a new mouse for real. But The thing is, a lot of men will use that as a crutch to follow in their father's footsteps as a crutch. You know what I'm saying? And the difference between a man and a woman is that the man will follow in his father's footsteps knowingly. You know what I'm saying? Knowingly. You know what I mean? A man will strategically, you know what I mean? He'll follow in his father's footsteps as a crutch. Give me a second, man. This goddamn computer mouse is acting up. You know what I mean? A man will follow in his. Give me a second, man. God dang. Yeah. Like I was saying, a man will follow in his father's footsteps, you know, with a calculated approach. Well, you know what, man? My father left me, so why can't I leave my own kids? You know what I'm saying? Why can't I leave them like my father left me? You know what I mean? A man will strategically utilize what his father has done to him to justify what he will do. You know what I'm saying? So in my past, I looked at it like that, you know. But like I was saying, man, you know, I kind of got lost a little, you know. But you know, I looked at all in past events, you know, from middle school to high school, and looked at it, and I saw it, and I said, you know what, man, that was a whole different me back then. That was a whole different person, physically, mentally, especially physically. That was a completely different person. You know what I'm saying? Me at 18 isn't me at 23. You know what I'm saying? At 23, you reach your final form, and you get it now. You're like, yo, after this, I'm not physically changing anymore. This is me. This is me. This is who I'm stuck with being. This is the final stages of my identity. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm not going to be changing anymore. I'm not aging. Well, I'm not changing. I don't got to wonder about things anymore, you know. And I think, like I'm saying, is all this advice, you know, these boys are looking at these men online, you know, they're looking at advice from them. But these men, as I was stating when I started this whole video, these men are talking to these boys as though this is their final form. This is the final you. You know what I'm saying? You need to get surgery. You got to get testosterone. You got to get testosterone and all that stuff when you haven't even reached your final form. You know what I'm saying? And none of this stuff matters. Yes, you should get in shape, you know, exercise, walk outside, you know, for health reasons. But testosterone and all that stuff at what, 16, 17, 15, 14, that's craziness. You're operating on a body you don't even know what it will finally be. You know what I'm saying? You might be 14, and when you become 17, just have a growth spurt. And that growth spurt could be horizontal, could be vertical. Because a lot of people think, yo, you had a growth spurt, it's all about horizontal, you know, your height, you know, growing horizontal. But you might have a growth spurt where you grew, you know what I'm saying, instead of vertical, horizontal. You know what I'm saying? Your shoulders got extremely wider. You're more wide-bodied. You know what I'm saying? Your arms got longer or something like that. You know, the body you don't yet know, man. You can't commit to something final when you have yet to reach your final form. Let me repeat that. You can't commit to something final when you've yet to reach your final form. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of guys take all this stuff. Yo, in high school, I was treated this way, that way. Yeah. The form before your final form. None of that matters. None of that counts. You know what I'm saying? None of that. Yes, you went through it, but what value does it have when you at 23 is not you when you were at 17, 16, 18? You know what I'm saying? There's no wondering. This is who you are now. So how does that matter? And I think what a lot of boys are going through is, as I said when I started, we're in a society right now where they're training boys to sacrifice their future in their present, especially with the sexual aspect of your sexuality and the promotion of body dysmorphia, where they'll tell a boy, man, you know, you're not comfortable in your shell. You don't know who you are. Yeah, because you're growing. You're physically growing and changing. You know what I'm saying? Your body's going through so many things. You know what I mean? And the thing is, in the West, they tell the boys, you're not going through as much as the women because, well, you know, you're not growing breast and all this stuff. No, dude, your whole body's changing. Your mind is changing. And as a boy, you know, as males, we're physically designed to look at how we'll affect the world, not how the world will affect us. You know what I'm saying? We're the stronger sex. So while you're growing, let's say you're 16, and you got a voice like this, oh man, you know, man, how you doing there, bro? Yeah, hello. You know what I'm saying? You got that Elmo voice. How you doing there? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you're growing, you know, your voice hasn't yet adapted to your body. You know what I'm saying? You've yet to fully reach your final form, you know? And this is why they're aiming at, this is why they're bringing drag queens, you know, this is why they're bringing drag queens and all this body dysmorphia, sexual confusion in the schools, in the high schools, in the middle schools, and so on, because they know you're physically changing in a lot of things, your hormones, you're second guessing who you will be. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you're 14 years old and your favorite athlete is, let's say it's Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? Let's say it's Tom Brady, and I think Tom Brady's 6'5", and you're 14, and you're like, oh man, will I grow up to be big and strong like Brady? You know what I'm saying? How will I be? That's why I use the car analogy, is that, think about it. You know, you're waiting and wondering what will be your first car. You know what I'm saying? What will be your first car? Well, you're also wondering what will be your final form. That question is rolling through a boy's mind all the time. What will be my final form? Because how will you deal with the world? How will you deal with other men? You know what I'm saying? Will you be intimidating the other men? You know what I'm saying? Because that's your number one obstacle, is your fellow man. So you're wondering about your final form of your body. You know what I'm saying? What will be the final form of your body you will use to face society and face the world? You know what I'm saying? You're wondering about that, you know? And that's what's going through your mind as a boy while you're developing. And the job of this society right now, with its goal, the political landscape of its goal to get more female votes, is to have you boys be confused. You know, have you be confused about where you are, you know what I'm saying, in your body. This is why they push the narrative of having boys do all this freaking psychological, you know, emotional BS. You know what I'm saying? Your emotions. This is why they push all this emotional narrative, because once they get a boy to focus on his emotions, they can now access your physical body. Because the thing about a boy revealing his emotions, and I touched up on this years ago on a stream way back. This is why I tell a lot of guys, man, on this channel, you could watch old stuff. You could go through my old streams, old videos. There's so much I talk about, and I've been telling people, I'm ahead, man. I'm potentially ahead by 10, 50, I might be ahead by over 1,000 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not lying. You know what I'm saying? Someone proved me wrong that I'm not ahead by over 1,000 years. That's what I'm gonna start saying from now on, man. I'm ahead by over 1,000 years. You know what I'm saying? This is why when people finally reference what I'm saying, for me it's old. It's like, oh man, they finally talking about the pink pill. This is old. They finally talking about the dog pill. This is old. They finally talking about part-time ghosting. This is old. They finally realize what a temporary relationship is. You know what I mean? This is old. You know what I mean? I'm over 1,000 years ahead. You know, you want to see how far ahead I am? If you didn't watch it, look up on this channel, the Black Pill Prophecy, where I literally utilize math and utilize the fact that I do not seek idealism to just look at society for what it is and literally tell you what's next. It's that simple when you look at things mathematically. You know what I mean? But like I was saying, once they get a boy to emotionally open, the danger about emotions, and I think this is why men stay away from emotions, is that emotions do not have physical wounds. You know what I'm saying? Emotions do not have physical wounds. So you can't physically look at it and physically heal it. You can't have somebody physically examine it. Like, you know, for example, let's say you were bleeding. You know what I'm saying? You got a deep wound. You could show another guy and be, yo, dude, I got this deep ass wound in my arm. And that dude could be like, ah, yo, we got to stitch it. We got to do something to fix and stop the bleeding. But when you have an emotional wound, there is no visibility to it. And the thing about an emotional wound is that it can get emotionally triggered, you know what I'm saying, without any wounds, and it's harder to heal. This is why men avoid emotions. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we don't have emotions. I think a lot of men have what I call instinctive emotion. You know what I'm saying? We're only emotional from an instinctive level. Oh man, we lost someone. Oh, you know what I mean? We get emotional. We lost somebody. Somebody died. You know what I'm saying? We mourn. You know what I'm saying? We go through instinctive emotional traits. We don't pursue emotion. The reason we don't pursue emotion is that we're the stronger sex. And we know that our fellow man will capitalize on us being emotional. And if we get emotional, it's a lot easier for other men to capitalize, because now we're not functioning, you know what I'm saying? We're not fully functional. And there's a delay. Because you're sad, you can't fully think. You know what I'm saying? That sadness gets in the way of the logic. And your fellow man will exploit that. You know what I'm saying? This is why men aren't emotional. You know what I'm saying? And another thing about emotion for men is it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? This is why men would identify other men. Yo, that's a hothead. That's a hothead. That's warning other men that, yo, he does not have full control of himself. He's malfunctioned. You know what I'm saying? He's got a defect where he's a hothead. You know what I'm saying? So be ready to deal with him or maneuver around him based on that. You know what I'm saying? He's a hothead. Oh man, he's too sad. He's too emotional. So he's not, you know what I'm saying? You can't calculate or fully trust how this man functions. You know what I'm saying? That's why an over emotional man is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's unreliable. You know what I'm saying? Because of their emotion can get in the way of their logic. Now women, that's all they have. That's all they have is emotion, because they can't physically, you know what I'm saying, they can't physically dominate the male sex. So a lot of women withdraw, and naturally they get to be more emotional because, you know what I'm saying, the men who are the stronger sex will now really don't look at them as a physical threat. You know what I'm saying? So they just let them be emotional and deal with it, you know? But the problem when a man's emotional, now his fellow man is like, yo, something's wrong with him. You know what I'm saying? He's not fully calibrated, you know? He's a threat. And what they want as a boy develops, they want you to open up and be emotional so they can capitalize on making you value a wound that isn't physical, a wound that won't heal. That's an emotional wound. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder to get over an emotional wound, you know what I'm saying, than a physical wound. You know what I'm saying? Even scars. I got scars on my arms, you know what I'm saying? We all got scars from things, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got scars, whatever, on my knuckles, but you learn to live with it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a scar, it's there, but an emotional wound is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It can have you stop. You know, you could be perfectly healthy and out of nowhere that emotion is triggered and you just lock into it, and it's dangerous. It clouds your thinking. And that's what this society is all about, telling young boys, open up, be, you know what I'm saying, open up your wall, you know, let down your guard. Think about that. They're teaching you to let down your guard to strangers. You know what I'm saying? Your father, and think about it, your father's trying to be an example to you. You know, a father usually is, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have it, give me a minute. Yeah, father's like the flat line. You know, I developed what I call, you can look it up on my video, the flat line theory. A father usually wants to be flat, like the flat line theory. A man wants to be a straight line, you know what I'm saying, horizontally flat line, because you can always walk, you can always be that way, you know what I'm saying? I might not be fully explaining it. It's been a while since I've talked about the flatline theory. But the flatline theory is very simple, man. You always want to be a flat line because you can walk on that flat line, everything's structured, versus you being a roller coaster where it's not I forget the word. It's not balanced or whatever. You know what I mean? I gotta rewatch some of my old videos, man. Because, you know, a lot of what I'm telling you is freestyle. It's right on the moment. So that's why that's the difference between me. I don't got a script. I'm not a scripted. I'm what you call a classical philosopher. You know what I'm saying? None of this information comes from written. It's just me diving into the mind, you know. You know what I'm saying? Your Plato's, your Socrates, and all these other type of, you know, philosophers where it was right on the spot. You're just in a journey of your own mind to figure out things, you know. Because men, we naturally, a lot of philosophy is actually simulation. A man runs a mental simulation in his mind on how things would occur, how to deal with it. And a lot of, you know, what you have to do. And a lot of philosophy, if you think about it, is mental simulation. And I do that a lot. You know, I run a lot of mental simulations to deal with life and what's going on. You know what I mean? So the thing is, like I was saying, is that your own father won't be emotional because your father wants you to understand as a man, you know what I'm saying, if it doesn't have to do with food, you know, security, provisions, you know, shelter, it doesn't matter to a man. You know what I'm saying? What's the problem? You know, what's the problem if those are not the problems? It's all about the necessities, not the accessories. That's how a man operates. You know, I gotta worry about the necessities. That emotion, you can't get fed on emotion. You know what I'm saying? Emotion won't feed you. You know what I'm saying? Emotion won't work for you. You know what I'm saying? Emotion is nothing more than a wound, a wound without a non-physical wound. And you're in a society as a boy where they want you to obtain as many emotional wounds as possible, so they can limit how you express yourself logically. You know what I'm saying? Logically, you know. But this video is getting very long. I hope you watching this understand. You have to understand. And this was the Boy Vantage. If any, I wrote the Man Vantage. This is inspired by the Man Vantage, but I think it's very important, the Boy Vantage, that boys need to understand that the present is not the future. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is you at 17 isn't you at 23. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you can learn from the past, you can learn from it, but you at 17 isn't who you are at 23, man. 23, you've reached your final form, and who you can finally look in the mirror and say, oh man, this is me, bro. This is me. This is the final me. This is my final form. You know what I'm saying? What will I do in my final form? You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to look at. What will you do when you reach your final form? That's why, as I said, any man telling you you got to get plastic surgery, bone lengthening surgery, you know what I'm saying, when you've yet to reach the age of 23, when you can't even say you looked in the mirror and saw your final image, who you finally are, you know what I'm saying, you've yet to see that, and you got to understand all the stuff that's happened to you before you've reached your final form is not the final thoughts of you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, if a chick didn't talk to you in high school, but now she sees you at 23, and I'm using a woman as an example, you know what I'm saying? Or even the bullies. Somebody used to bully you or mess with you, sees you now at 23, the final form of you, and deals with you differently. Well, you gotta understand, man, there's differences. When they were in their base form, they had an advantage. They were probably taller, stronger, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So they took that into advantage, or whatever it is. You have to understand, and this is what today's society started. I think it started, I might have to do a video on it. I'm not 100% sure. But I think the narrative that shamed people, shamed young men for their youth, I think it started maybe in the 70s or 80s. I'm not 100% sure, but when did those movies or entertainment started telling you, well, you weren't cool in high school, you're a nobody, you're always going to be a nobody? You know what I'm saying? When did those type of films start, or those type of TV series where they shamed you because you weren't cool in high school or middle school? You're a nobody, you're nothing, man, as an adult. When did that start? When did that begin? I'm not 100% sure. But like I'm saying, man, anybody under the age of 23 watching this, anybody under the age of 23 watching this, you're not at your final form. You know what I'm saying? You can't sacrifice your final form for where you are presently. You're not 23 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things people are saying about you presently, it's not who you are finally. You know what I'm saying? And when you sacrifice, this is why I said a lot of, you know what I'm saying, unaliving, self-deletion is happening. A lot of self-deletion is happening. Maybe that'll have to be for another video, but I'll touch up on it quick. A lot of young boys are sacrificing and deleting themselves because they're being told that this is the final them. You know what I'm saying? who they are as, before they're 23, this is their final them. This is who they will always be, and they could delete themselves, because what's the point of living if this is who you will always be? You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of this, man. You gotta be aware of it. That until you're the age of 23, you are not yet in your final form. And if you're not yet in your final form, how can you honestly say you're seeing the world, you're living the world with the final stage of who you are? You know what I'm saying? This is who you are. How can you say that? How can you say who you are when you're not yet 23? You're not yet fully in your final form. And like I was saying, a boy growing up, there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening physically, psychologically, because as a boy, like I said, your body is a weapon. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things they don't teach us in society anymore is that just being born a boy, just being born a male, you're a weapon. You know what I'm saying? You're a weapon. Just being born a male, you're a weapon. So if you're born a male and you're a weapon, what are your thoughts? Your thought process is, will I grow up to be a strong weapon? You know what I'm saying? Will this weapon be able to keep me alive? And you know what I'm saying? Will I reach a final form where I'm such a strong weapon that other weapons, aka other men, don't try to take advantage of me? You know what I'm saying? Try to destroy me. Am I easily destroyed? This is what it means to be a man. You know what I mean? We're weapons. Like I tell men on many videos for years, we're weapons, man. You're lucky that you didn't look at another man wrong. You know what I'm saying? That wants to fight you. We men live in a battlefield. You know what I'm saying? That's what it means to be a man. It's a battlefield. Now, are there ceasefires? Yeah. You know what I mean? During a battlefield, it's not all combat. You know what I'm saying? It's not all combat. You know what I mean? There's scouting. It's not all combat. But like I said, to end this video, until you're 23 years old, you know what I'm saying, people judging you on, be it your appearance, how you sound, your voice and all that, they're not judging you on your final form. You know what I'm saying? Who you finally are, So you got to think about that, But this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage. Full-time ghosting isn't an option. It's the only choice. Full-time ghost. They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place.